Hello and welcome to the Speak Easily, a place where you and I can not only share a drink, but we can share a story. So crack a cold one, pour your favorite cocktail, mocktail, or anything in between. I'm your host, Stephen J., and unfortunately I have a pretty tragic story to share with you today. The events that I'm going to outline for you are of the gruesome, untimely murder of 25-year-old Kevin Bacon of Swartz Creek, Michigan, and how one online dating hookup scenario led to the loss of his life. I need to preface this story by saying this is an active, ongoing criminal case. All facts and opinions expressed here forward are based solely on current news reports, media coverage, and social media findings. I want to be clear, all allegations and criminal charges are to be considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. It was the night of December 24th, 2019, Christmas Eve, when Kevin Bacon was last seen around 5 p.m. He was reported missing the following day when he failed to show up to his family's Christmas Day brunch. Later on that day, Kevin's car was found in the parking lot of a Family Dollar in Clayton Township. Found in the vehicle were several of Kevin's personal belongings, such as his phone, credit cards, cash, and his clothing. Naturally, this was an immediate cause for concern. At the time of this finding, Kevin's roommate Michelle, the last person who had seen Kevin alive the previous evening, noted how unlike Kevin it was for him to be without his phone. She also noted that she did not believe him to have a change of clothes with him at the time of his departure. She also revealed he had indicated to her his intention to meet up with someone that he was communicating with through the online dating application Grindr, and that he was expecting to be out late that evening. Unfortunately, that Family Dollar location does not utilize cameras in their parking lot. Police inquired with several surrounding businesses to see if perhaps their surveillance systems could provide any further information. On December 26th, Michelle began a social media campaign, generating flyers and organizing a search party in order to find her missing friend. Meanwhile, having found Kevin's phone, the Clayton Township Police used the Grindr application to view the messages that were exchanged between Kevin and the stranger he had went to meet. They determined that Kevin had left his home in Swartz Creek to meet up with 50-year-old Mark Latunski of Morris, Michigan, a town about 23 miles away. When police showed up at Latunski's residence to perform a welfare check, he willingly agreed, granting them permission to enter his home. It was in the basement, in what has been described as a secret room, that the police discovered Kevin's body. Hanging naked from the ceiling by his ankles, with a stab wound to his back, his testicles removed, and his throat slit. The clip you're about to see is an interview given by Kevin's parents, Carl and Pamela.
Kevin was a kind-hearted person who enjoyed his work. He was a very good hairstylist. He had a natural talent for it. He was a very joyful person, very sociable person, and everybody who knew him enjoyed being around him. He will be greatly missed, not only by us, but by all his friends and family.
It did not take me very long while conducting my social media research to recognize just how loved and valued Kevin was to those around him. His passion was hair. His mother stated that from a very early age, as young as 12 years old, that she and Kevin both knew that making his mark on the beauty industry was his life's ambition. Upon completing high school at Swartz Creek High, Kevin enrolled at Sharp's Academy of Hairstyling, graduating class of 2016. He also worked his way through the JCPenney salon as a salon coordinator and eventually becoming a stylist. One scroll through Kevin's personal Instagram, and it's very easy to conclude not only was he passionate about his career, but he was talented in his craft. From the vibrant colors and edgy cuts, all in the name of making other people feel good about themselves. The beauty industry was his world, and as I sit here, I can't help but wonder, was this another Brad Mondo, another Lipstick Nick, perhaps another Jeffree Star, another fiercely talented beauty community influencer in the making that was taken far too soon? I suppose we'll never know the answer to that question. Oh, and that last name that I just mentioned, keep that in mind. It's going to come in handy in a little bit.
News tonight out of Shiawassee County. The man accused of murder and mutilation in the death of 25-year-old Kevin Bacon now formally arraigned on charges. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm David Custer.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Frank Turner. 50-year-old Mark David Latunski appearing before the judge this afternoon, facing life in prison if convicted.
TV5's Rachel McCrary was at today's arraignment and joins us live in Shiawassee County with the very latest. Rachel.
Yeah, it was a rather bizarre arraignment here at the Shiawassee County District Court, where Mark Latunski was officially charged with the murder of Kevin Bacon. And during the hearing, the defendant denied who he was, saying that the real Mark Latunski was actually his nephew, but the judge ignored that.
It is a well-known fact that we as a society, as people, are drawn to stories and individuals of this nature. If this were not true, things like the ID channel, Dateline, To Catch a Predator, and countless other TV shows, documentaries, movies, and television networks would simply not exist. Even our evening news wouldn't be quite as compelling to us without stories of the sick, depraved, or morally reprehensible sprinkled throughout. I suppose it comes from a place of human curiosity, the need to understand that which, to most, sane, rational, and balanced people seems so incomprehensible. How could one human being take the life of another? What made them do it? Were they born a cold-blooded killer, or did they become one? The old nature versus nurture debate. I, for one, have no shame in admitting that when it comes to this subject matter, my curiosity does get piqued. I yearn to find a logical or rational answer to a question that in reality simply may just not have one. I suppose there's no better example of this than that of Mark Latunski. Through my research, I discovered a man riddled with legal troubles, consistently questionable mental health, and somewhat obvious red flags. Yet, somehow, this man continued to attract other individuals into his world. Latunski had a history of mental health issues based on records from the 66th District Court and the 35th Circuit Court. His former wife, Emily Latunski, at one point in time petitioned the court in an attempt to prevent him from being around their children, as he had been clinically diagnosed with depression, paranoid schizophrenia, and symptoms of a personality disorder. Around this time, he was hospitalized at the Owasso Mental Stress Unit in Owasso, Michigan. In July of 2013, local county sheriff deputies visited the home of the Latunskis to perform a routine welfare check, at which time Emily had explained that they were going through a messy divorce and his recent psychiatric diagnosis had led to him not taking his medication. A month later, the deputies were dispatched to the Latunski home again, this time due to Latunski ignoring the custody agreement beyond the outlined time of the court order. The next day it was discovered Latunski had taken the 4 children on a vacation to a water park. When police found him, they took the children and turned them back over to their mother. On September 3rd, 2013, Latunski showed up at the state police barracks using a fake name and birth date and confessed to killing Mark Latunski. Later on, when deputies showed up at Latunski's residence, they found cryptic notes all through the kitchen. There was also mention of the alias William Gregory Dean, which was the name Latunski had used when he showed up at the state police barracks. He was later found next door at his father's vacant home, laying on his back and unresponsive. When he came to, he told the police he was a protected person, demanded to know the truth, and claimed that he and his children were poisoned by a bladder tank filled with lead, pointing the blame at his brother. He was taken to the hospital for evaluation and treatment. However, his ex-wife had pressed charges regarding the custody dispute, citing custodial kidnapping on his little adventure to the water park. Latunski was arrested on September 19th. At that time, his lawyers requested he undergo several psychiatric evaluations, which drew out the process for about 18 months. On September 14th, 2014, Latunski was discovered near Grand Rapids, Michigan, walking the streets with only his right sock on, which resulted in another trip to the hospital and indecent exposure charges. But the prosecuting attorney ultimately chose to not pursue them. In January 2015, one of his psychiatrists had noted that Latunski had made adequate progress in therapy, blaming his previous poor mental state on the stress of his divorce. He claimed Latunski was now able to be held liable for the kidnapping charges. However, in February, the prosecutors decided to give up pursuing the charges, a decision influenced by his ex-wife, who apparently had a change of heart. But lo and behold, in early 2019, Emily once again found herself appealing the court in an attempt to eliminate Latunski's custodial rights after he failed to make several child support payments. In November 2019, police were called to Latunski's neighbor's house. The neighbor, Michael Parks, told police that a man showed up at his door fleeing Latunski's residence, bleeding from his head, wearing nothing but a leather kilt. Apparently, it was a bondage scenario gone bad. No charges were pressed. The man returned Latunski's kilt and was able to leave of his own free will, and police cleared the scene. As you may have noticed in several of those photos, Latunski is depicted with another man. That would be his husband, Jamie Arnold. Originally speculated to have had something to do with Kevin's murder, Jamie has since come forward and explained via the media that he left Latunski in September of this year.
I sat down with Latunski's husband, Jamie Arnold, who says he had no knowledge or involvement in Bacon's death and is working to clear his name from social media claims. Tonight, Arnold explains the last time he was at the house where the alleged murder took place.
I didn't think he would ever hurt me in that type of capacity.
Jamie Arnold talking about his husband of several years, Mark David Latunski. Latunski is now charged with murder and mutilation of a human body in the death of Kevin Bacon. Bacon was found dead inside Mark Latunski's Bennington Township home after he was last seen alive on Christmas Eve.
I never thought he was capable of such a horrendous crime.
One thing I noticed pretty soon after I caught wind of this story was the lack of media attention and news coverage that it was receiving. I found that in a lot of my research, I had to go beyond that which we normally do when we're trying to learn about a subject. It took scrolling through Facebook and the trenches of Twitter and Instagram to really start to piece this together. And I couldn't help but wonder to myself, could this be due in part to the fact it was a story regarding a homosexual being murdered and cannibalized? A story like that is not so easily unpacked. It's not as simple or as vanilla as a heterosexual crime of passion or jealousy, the likes of which we would see on a Dateline or an ID channel special. One must wonder, was this deemed too extreme or too unpleasant for the average American's consumption? The world of secret online gay hookups and BDSM-style sexcapades may not be for the faint of heart. But I think we have to all agree that no matter whether this is about a straight or a gay or transgender or anything under the sun, the simple fact remains that tonight there is parents without their son, siblings without their brother, and friends without their loved one. And that is simply something too devastating to be overlooked or swept under the rug. I would also like to give a special shout out to one particular person, Warner Todd Houston, columnist for Breitbart, who so tastefully posted this photo alongside his article about Kevin. Tasteless scumbag. The apparent media bias definitely took a turn whenever YouTube and social media star, makeup entrepreneur, and mogul Jeffee Star threw his hat into the ring. Kevin was brought to his attention as a loyal fan and dedicated subscriber, who even had the title of Star's first studio album, Beauty Killer, tattooed on his chest. When Star learned of the situation, he took to his personal Snapchat to say this.
The process is hard. It's really hard to fathom another person doing that to someone. And it just really makes you aware of, wow, like anyone that is meeting a stranger on an app really needs to be careful. But it goes deeper, and this really hit close to home. This person was from Michigan. Kevin had Beauty Killer tattooed on his chest. He was fearless. He lived his life exactly how he wanted to. He was open. And I can't believe we lost someone from the Star family. So last night I tweeted about donating for his family, for his GoFundMe, for his funeral, and so many of you came through. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart. This whole case is crazy, and I want to put awareness on this because there's so many pieces to this puzzle. There's Grindr not giving people information quick enough. There is the town that they were from, their family, they live near Flint, Michigan. It's such a fucked up city, and I feel so bad for the people that have to deal with all this shit and the shadiness and the sketchiness of the police force. Now listen, this is all alleged. I don't know everything, but there is a lot of things I'm learning, and I'm so devastated for the Bacon family. I don't know. Sometimes I want to use my platform and make content about this stuff. And this isn't about me. I want to put someone else's story on the map when they're not getting a fair shot because the system's so fucked.
Jeffee Star was not the only celebrity to use their platform to bring Kevin's story to the surface. Actor Kevin Bacon also took to his Instagram to post this memorial for Kevin. As you can see here, Kevin's family's GoFundMe page, in order to help cover and offset the cost of his final expenses, has far exceeded their goal. I will link this GoFundMe page in the description below if you feel so inclined as to donate to the family. The Flint Rock, an unofficial landmark of Flint, Michigan, has been painted in Kevin's honor by friends and loved ones and people who wish to pay tribute to a life cut short. So where does this leave us? Mark Latunski is attempting to plead insanity due to his previous track record of mental health issues, and the judge has agreed to allow him to proceed with the psychiatric evaluations, a process that could take upwards of 18 months. The fact of him consuming parts of Kevin's body seemed to be in Latunski's favor. Mr. and Mrs. Bacon have made it very clear they wish to see Latunski prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, up to and including the death penalty. But for now, we must wait. The outcome of this horrific situation is yet to be determined. There are no words or sentiments that can ease the pain Kevin's family and loved ones are going through. However, it is my belief that in the telling and retelling of Kevin's story, his legacy will live on. The outgoing, bright-eyed spirit of a boy taken too soon can be a reminder to us all. When choosing to pursue online dating, practice safe habits. Know who and what you are dealing with to the fullest extent possible. And always let people know where you will be and who you will be with. Unfortunately, there are evil people in this world. No matter how much we wish to see the best in everyone, we must always remain aware and vigilant. Rest easy, Kevin. You won't be forgotten. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I know it wasn't an easy one. I hope that there were some takeaways for you. Life is precious, my friends. This is your host and bartender, Stephen J., signing off. And as always, the next round is on me.